So now we're at the stage where we say, where do we take it next? How do we get even more involved with the one thing? I'll tell you, at first it's going to seem pretty simple. The definition of the one thing is the thing that we've denied, delayed, procrastinated, the thing that we haven't wanted to deal with. So we go, okay, David, well, that's pretty easy. I can just find it like that. But it's not the case. As a matter of fact, since 1996, when I started applying the one thing one-on-one with clients, as well as in my group settings, 75% of the time, people misjudge what their one thing is. In other words, that even when they go through the process, they think they got it, and it's not it at all. Isn't that amazing? Now, why is that? Well, the subconscious mind knows that if we truly find the thing that we've denied, delayed, procrastinated, if we really do find it, it's going to take work, effort, and it's going to make us uncomfortable to move through it. And so as a protection mechanism, it sort of shuts us down and goes, let's go after the obvious goal. Let me give you some examples. Angela, who I've talked about quite a bit, when she first came to me, the obvious goal was to get organized. Her house was a mess, office was a mess, work was a mess, so it just made sense. Hire a life coach and let's get organized, right? Then as we went through the one thing, and we went through it multiple times, we found that the thing she denied, delayed, and procrastinated for years was the mess she was in financially, which meant that if she was going to get out of that mess, she was going to have to work very hard to get another job to make the money she needed to make. So you see, like, the obvious was not the obvious. Let me give you another example. A gentleman, Dan, came to me and he was all about growing his business. And he said, I'm excited to work with you. You have a bunch of references, people that have worked with you, found great success. I know what my one thing is. He came into the office knowing what his one thing was. I said, great, what is it? He goes, I need to grow my business. I need to increase income. I need to do all these things. Within a couple weeks, we found out that Dan's one thing was about letting go of alcohol. It had nothing to do at all with growing his business. Now, here's the good news. Once Angela made the money that she deserved, it took her 90 days to double her income. Once she did it, all of the organizational mess and the clutter took care of itself. In other words, she was motivated to take care of that clutter. She was motivated to stay organized. The same thing with Dan. When he went on the process of the one thing, once he took care of the alcohol problem, his business naturally exploded. I can give you more examples. How about a young woman came to me suffering for 30 years with extreme anxiety, depression, and chronic fatigue. So, of course, she came to me thinking we were going to go through alternative methods for healing and we were going to get into meditation and all these things that she had never done. Even though she had tried different methods, nothing had worked. I was her last resort. As we went through the one thing theory, we found out it wasn't about taking care of her chronic fatigue, anxiety, depression. Isn't that wild? Because the first thing you would think is, oh my God, we've got to take care of this. See, that's the obvious goal. Her one thing, after going through the exercise that you went through quickly on the last video, her one thing was forgiving a family member for emotional abuse that happened 25 years earlier. Once she did that, listen to this, her anxiety, her naturally deep depression, both of them improved by 75% in the 8 weeks we worked together once she started to apply the one thing theory. She was cutting down on medication. She was sleeping. I mean, these amazing changes. And we never addressed her chronic fatigue, anxiety, or depression. Another woman I worked with came about 75 pounds overweight. And so obviously she says, I want to get on a diet, I want to get on an exercise. So it would make sense that we would start right there, which most programs would, but not with the one thing theory. We found out that she had this deep resentment against men. And in that resentment against men, she was gaining weight to protect herself from getting hurt again. As we cleared up her one thing, which was an issue regarding relationships with others, she found that the weight started to come off. She didn't have to hide anymore. She didn't have to protect herself from intimacy and fear of getting hurt. She had no more resentment. She had no more fear. Isn't this amazing? So see, when we say that 75% of people prior to doing the one thing are going after misguided goals, it's really true. Now, I will tell you with the last example, after she let go of the resentment with men, without losing the whole 75 pounds that she needed to lose, she got into an amazingly deep and loving relationship. Now, I tell you all these stories because I want to let you know right up front that finding your one thing is not the easiest thing in the world. But if you're persistent and you use the steps that we showed you, and if you're ready to take the course, the online course, which I've mentioned several times already, is literally pennies, but we take you through this step by step in such depth that you will find your one thing. I wanted to also share this with you. If you'll grab your pen and paper, and let's write down those categories we went over in our previous video. So those 6 categories where your one thing could hide would be relationship with self, spirituality, health, relationship with others, finances, or career. Now, you don't have to have those in any kind of order, right? But you look at those different categories: relationship with self, health, finances, spirituality, relationships with others, and career. Those are the 6 areas of life where the one thing could hide. Now, once you look at those and go, okay, oh my gosh, David, it's health. I've denied, I've delayed, I've procrastinated, taking care of myself. What do you do next? So this is what I want you to do. As an example, just write down the word health. It may or may not be the category that you would choose for your one thing, but I want to give you some really powerful hands-on tools right now that you can use to move forward in life. So if your category was health, the next move is to start writing down the subcategories that would fall underneath health. So that might be diet, exercise. Write all these down as I'm talking to you so you have something on paper. It might be stress management. It might be sleep. It might be an addiction. Do you see what I'm saying? So we break down that one category, health, into all the subcategories. And when you look at all those subcategories, and there could be more, you will find your one thing. And as you look at all those, you'll say, oh my gosh, you know what? I've been needing to get better sleep for 20 years now. So let's say that sleep was your issue. You would circle sleep. Underneath health, you have all these different things, right? You have diet, exercise, stress management, sleep, addiction removals, etc. So you select sleep, and you pull it out and you write it separately. Then you make a plan of action to go after what you need to do to improve your sleep. It might be cutting out caffeine after noon every day. It might be meditating every day. It might be trying different natural supplements to help you sleep. It might be journaling before bed to help you sleep. And we take you through all the possible exercises through the course, The One Thing Theory, that we highly recommend that you sign up for. It's really going to make all this even make more sense. But even what I'm telling you right now is going to give you the opportunity to break through from what you've been struggling with before. So now listen to this. You find your one thing, the subcategory of sleep, and you write down all the changes you need to make. And you commit 5 days a week for 90 days to make these changes. And some of them aren't easy. See, that's why the one thing is so tricky, because subconsciously we don't want to do this work I'm talking about. But imagine this. Imagine at the end of 90 days finally getting a good night's rest. All right, everything in your life is going to radically change. Your attitude will become more positive. Your energy level will increase. It might even get you in the gym if you're not currently exercising, right? Like your motivation to get ahead in your career or to get ahead financially will improve dramatically. And it might be because of the fact that you're going to bed at 10 o'clock at night instead of midnight or 1 in the morning, as well as cutting back on alcohol, as well as cutting back on nicotine, as well as doing all these other things that you need to do for your one thing. But here's the great news. Again, at the end of 90 days, your life will be radically changed because your one thing, poor sleep habits, has been taken care of. Now, I could go through all kinds of other exercises, but I want you to see the specificity of this program. I wanted to take you through this health issue to break it down to subcategories. Now, you can do that if your one thing is in relationship with others, relationship with self, spirituality, finances, career. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like no matter what you're doing, you can use this example that I just gave you as a way to take away the information and to apply it to your own life today. Once you go after the one thing, once you apply it for 90 straight days without a break, doing what you may not want to do. Now, there's going to be some nights, if sleep is your issue, that you're going to say, oh my gosh, you know what? It's Saturday. I don't want to go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. I want to stay up till 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning like I used to. But because you know that you really want and you're determined to change your life for the better, to radically change your life for the better, you're going to hang in there. And you might get an accountability partner. Maybe your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, maybe a next door neighbor for all I know, maybe someone at work, maybe a best friend who you will report to every week and say, this is what I've done. These are the changes I need to make. Here's 6 days I did great and 1 day I fell off. Let me get back on track, right? Okay, we give you all these additional tools, ideas like accountability partners, etc., in the course, the online course, the one thing that will radically change your life forever. I hope I've given you enough information and enough examples of how powerful this tool is, how unique this tool is. I have never, in all my work in the world of motivation and goal setting, I've never found anything that gets to the core as quickly and can radically change an individual's lives in 90 days. Imagine that you live to 80 years of age. And what I'm saying to you, and what has happened with thousands of people since 1996, is that in a 90-day commitment of time, their life is radically changed. If you live to 80 years of age, isn't 90 days worth it? Aren't you worth the commitment to go through the full program to get what you want out of life? If it's deep love, if it's an awesome rocking body, if it's a phenomenal income, if it's deep sleep, if it's releasing resentments, aren't you worth it to take the time to go through the course, to find your one thing, to break out of denial, to break out of the craziness of rationalization? I'll start next week, I'll start next month. Aren't you worth it to get what you want out of life today? We feel you are. You know, if you were to take this course as part of my other courses that we teach, it would be almost $1,000 for this course. We've singled this out and we've made it just pennies a day. I will encourage you to go online right now to talkdavid.com to look for the One Thing Theory online course with all of the videos, I mean hours of videos, a manual that you can download to take you through. It's approximately a 20-page manual to take you through the course. You will become so clear, so directed, so motivated in regards to taking care of your one thing. And when you do the work 5 days a week for 20 minutes or 2 hours a day, you will receive the benefits of all these other people I've shared with you already. Contact me if I can answer any other questions at talkdavid.com, or simply just go and sign up. Like I said, for pennies a day, aren't you worth it? Aren't you worth finally living the life you want? I believe you are. I'm David Essel. I'm so glad to be able to share all these free videos with you, and I can't wait to hear from you about your success story. If there's any other questions you have, let me know. Until then, have an incredible day.